Now, when it comes to fruity fragrances, of course, we have apple and citrus and a lot of other common fruits, but we also have some more exotic fruity ingredients: pineapple, guava, passion fruit, raspberry, cherry, so on and so forth. In today's episode, we're going to be focusing our attention on some of the more exotic fruity fragrances on the market. These all have a mass appeal about them, and I personally love all 10 of these fragrances. I'm excited to get on with this list, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I tell you about these 10 exotic, fruity smelling fragrances that have exotic fruits in them, these are all wonderful, they have mass appeal about them, and they are all incredibly good fragrances, personal favorites of mine. I do want to start the video off by saying that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon and give this video a thumbs up if you took something of value from today's episode. It would really mean a lot to me. So let's just go ahead and dive into the list. And the first one I want to talk about is actually a cherry-based fragrance. This one by Navitus Parfum is Venom of Love. The creative director behind this is Paulina Shar. This is basically cherry and chocolate. It's an amazing fragrance. It's dark, it's sensual, it's warm, but that cherry ingredient in there is just so powerful. And I went with this one because it has a bit more of a gourmand touch. Of course, we also have Cherry Punk by Room 1015. We have Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. But there's something about the chocolate in this that makes it dark. It's a long-lasting fragrance, and I think it's a beautiful expression of the note of cherry. Now, speaking of pineapple, I know we're all expecting Creed Aventus, but Creed Aventus is not just about the fruits. It also has, the birch and the woods and the jasmine and all these other ingredients in there. I actually want to talk about 1270 Extreme by Frappan. This fragrance has apple and pineapple, but I also love that boozy sort of vanilla that's in the dry down. So in terms of fragrances with mass appeal and smelling exotic, this is a bit more exotic than that typical fruity chypre genre that we've come to expect from fragrances like Creed Aventus and Club de Nuit Intense by Armaf and Afnan Supremacy and all of these other fragrances that are kind of Aventus clones or twists. 1270 Extreme is an amazing fragrance. Jerome Epinet is the perfumer for this one. Speaking of Creed, though, we will give them credit when credit is due. So we have cherry, we have pineapple and apple. Let's talk about coconut now. And I think the one that has so much mass appeal is Virgin Island Water by Creed. This has the coconut, the lime, so it's fruity in a citrusy way as well. And it also has some smooth lactonic ingredients to finish things off, some smooth woods as well. Virgin Island Water is such an amazing tropical vacation in a bottle sort of a scent. I can't sing enough praise about it. It's truly, truly wonderful. Antonio Alessandria put out a fragrance called Rusty Vibes. So this also has coconut in it. If you look at the note breakdown, it just says tropical fruits. This could be passion fruit, could be a bunch of other fruits, but it's so exotic, it's so full, it's overripe, it's lush, it's saccharine. I love it so much. Of course, we also have another apple-based fragrance. This one is a little boozy, a little spicy. By Kilian Paris, this is Apple Brandy on the Rocks. You do get a little bit of pineapple in there as well, so I suppose as an exotic fruity ingredient, pineapple is kind of a motif among a lot of these fragrances. It's also in one more fragrance that I haven't talked about yet, but I'm going to talk about it next. But this one is exceptionally well done. I wear this more as a fresh, sometimes even spicy and boozy fragrance where the fruity notes kind of become secondary, but they're in there and they make a wonderful appeal in the fragrance. The next one is actually by the Dua brand, and it's called Pineapple and Cream Filling. Now, they have a lot of gourmand fragrances, and this is just one of them. This is a beautiful, creamy, lactonic, gourmand pineapple fragrance with a touch of that whipped cream and vanilla thing happening in the dry down. And I think that sweet dry down also brings out the sweeter, more saccharine characteristics of the pineapple. Huge mass appeal to it. Every time I have worn it, my wife loves it. I do get compliments with it. This one is really, really well done. And then, of course, we also have the note of fig. I love fig. I've always spoken about how when I used to live in Athens, Greece, we had a couple of fig trees in my backyard. They're still there. Nobody has chopped them down. And I just love fig as an ingredient. It brings back a lot of really fond memories. I've consumed many fig fruits throughout the years. This one by Manos Yerakinis is called Methixis. So this fragrance has cocoa, there's fig. I believe the perfumer is Chris Maurice, who has done most Xerjoff fragrances. And this one is just fantastically well done. It's milky, it's creamy and lactonic. It has this very natural quality about the fig, and I just perfectly love this one. What an amazing fragrance. I really can't, sing enough praise about it. It's really, really well done. Of course, there's also Purple Fig by Wilhelm and Philosophes by Diptyque, but there's something about the creamy, gourmand goodness happening in this fig-based fragrance that I just can't compare to anything else. Of course, by Kajal, we also have Almaz. In terms of other passion fruit type of a fragrance, there's Dahab. In terms of pineapple, there is the other Kajal, I forget. Lamar. I almost forgot the name of it. But Almaz is a raspberry-based fragrance, raspberry and tropical fruits. And it also has a gourmand dry down that I truly love about it. One of the best that the brand has put out. I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to review it recently. By the brand Inicio Parfum Privé, this one is Paragon. Paragon is plum and Palo Santo. It is a beautiful, somewhat even boozy type of a fragrance. It kind of reminds me of Plum and Cognac by Scents of Wood. It kind of has that similar DNA, can be worn in the same occasions. I'm not suggesting it is a clone or derivative in any way, but it can be worn for the same occasions. The plum is just so juicy and hypnotizing. It reminds me a little bit of Andy Warhol by Bond No. 9, which is a discontinued fragrance at this point, really hard to get, but I love the plum in this one. And the fragrance and the number one spot when you think of exotic, tropical, fruity-based fragrances, you have to put this at the top of your list. If you haven't tried this fragrance yet, this is a must sample. This is a benchmark fragrance. Everybody ought to know what this one is, what it smells like. It's one of the best fragrances ever made. And we've seen that a lot of other brands have kind of put out their own version or inspiration of it. Of course, this one by Xerjoff is called Herba Pura. This fragrance just has tropical fruits in it. It has florals. If you look at the note breakdown, it just says tropical fruits, but I get this guava, passion fruit, juicy, hypnotizing, smooth, green, very earthy, but not in a dark sort of a way. It's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Herba Pura, which means sort of clean, pure grass or, fresh grass or something like that. It's a beautiful fragrance. The bottle is really sexy. The fragrance itself is also sexy and hypnotizing. And Herba Pura is one of the best fragrances ever manufactured by Xerjoff, formerly Sospiro, but Sospiro still has their own thing happening. In any case, here we have 10 exotic fruity fragrances, all of which are favorites of mine, and they all have mass appeal. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you took something of value from today's episode. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon and give this video a thumbs up. Love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.